This time on Graveyard Carz. The story of Kimberly Cook's 1970 Plymouth Barracuda comes to a close. From the arrival of the car over 2 years ago to tearing it down, documenting everything, restoring, rebuilding, and completely resurrecting this beautiful 383 convertible. A car like this may not be worth millions to collectors, but to the Cooks, it's priceless. Get ready for a reveal that's over 2 years in the making on this episode of Graveyard Carz.
Coming to get you, Barbara.
The unburied dead are coming back to life.
I'm Mark Warman, and together with the most critical man in the world, Daren Kirkpatrick.
Give me a gun!
My son-in-law, Josh.
Oh, yeah!
And my best friend, Roy.
Well, all right!
We bring dead muscle cars back to life, to exactly the way they were on the day they were born. If we don't kill each other.
It's gonna be a bloodbath.
Well, this is it. This is our D-Day for Graveyard Carz. Kimberly and Tommy are waiting outside. We just finished doing the final wax and polish on the Barracuda.
We both have major butterflies right now.
Yeah.
We're ready to see the car.
Well, you don't look nervous at all. Come on down, guys. We're ready for you. How you doing?
Good.
We're great. How are you, Mark?
Oh, man. I'm
Been
about
waiting
as
for this
excited
day
as you
for a
guys
long
are.
time.
Okay, walk on in here. We got the lights out. Just walk forward a couple of feet. I'll tell you where we're going to be hanging out at. Are you ready now? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Hit it.
Oh my God.
A little over 2 years ago, I got a phone call from Tommy Cook. His wife, Kimberly, was there with him when they made the call. They shared with me the story about the car, about how it had belonged to her father and that he had passed away and that they were interested in getting some restoration work done. We're swamped all the time. We're constantly busy, but I also have it in my heart not to turn anybody down for something that I believe just plain needs to be done. In the case of Kimberly Cook's little Barracuda, it's not a $2 million car when it's done. It's not a $1 million car when it's done, but to her, it's a priceless car when it's done. When the car was unloaded out of the back of the transport rig, I really was impressed with the fact that it was a good, clean, nice, solid, original car. Well, the thing about Graveyard Carz is it's just known for bringing in the worst, the deadest, the most dilapidated, neglected cars on the planet. Well, those cars have sat for 40 years. Cars that sit for 40 years, it does more damage to them than if they're driven for 40 years. When they come to us, very, very rarely run and drive under their own power. So to have Kimberly's little car show up and know that you could hit the key and actually buzz around, pull it in and out of the shop, just a really nice thing to have happen and very unusual.
This is a really neat car, bro. Only made 59 of them. This is one of 59.
It's a really cool car.
No telling how many of them are left, probably just a handful. 383 two-barrel automatic. They made 0 383 four-speed cars with a two-barrel.
Really?
All automatics with a two-barrel.
Come on, guys.
I was sitting in it earlier. I like the, what?
We need to clean the mess up. We got to get going. I don't know why you're even worried about that.
Breaks. We're just checking it out.
No, you just finished your little fat lunch, okay? I'm saying that I asked you guys 20 minutes ago to clean up the mess. You clean up the mess from the fender, okay? I don't know why you're sitting in a car. You haven't earned the right to sit in the car. Daren, you're sitting in there. You look just like Dustin Hoffman and Rainman in the passenger seat of that convertible. Yeah, it's convertible. It's cool, but you don't need to be sidetracked with the whole idea of driving it with your wind blowing through your hair. In Royal's case, there's no wind to blow through his hair. I mean, I'm not positive, but I think he has to wear something protective on it. I don't mean that bad. There they are. Hi, Kimberly?
Yes.
Mark, nice
Hi.
to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Kimberly and Tommy are just an adorable couple. They're really cool people. They live in Alabama, big time sports fans, love their Mopars. Ultimately, though, at the end of the day, I had a good feeling that I had made the right decision on bringing the car in after I had met them. I mean, I always knew that, but sometimes the people show up and you go, I would rather, Tom Partridge, for example, is a great example of that. But these guys are really cool, and it was nice to meet them. So after they showed up, we had a chance to go around, show them the shop, and they were sharing some of the stories that of the car and the memories and the things that they remember about their father associated with the car.
Well, this car is extremely special to my wife.
My dad bought the Barracuda in 1978, 2 years before I was even born, and I spent my childhood in the car, especially in the summertime. My dad coached my t-ball and softball teams, and we went everywhere in it with my dad and my sister, and just grew up in the car. Well, in 1995, when my sister was killed in a car accident, my dad just kind of hung the key up and didn't drive it anymore. It was like it wasn't enjoyable to him. Didn't drive it for several years, and then in the early 2000s, he wanted to start getting it restored, but the money just wasn't there. He was laid off work twice. He was helping me go through college, and the finances just weren't there. And then in October of 2009, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. And they only gave us a couple years for him to live. So didn't think much of the Barracuda even then, and noticed him getting sicker and sicker, and decided that we had to get the car at least drivable for him before he passed away. So about a couple months before he passed away, we took it and got it running, got the motor, worked on, and he couldn't drive it at that point in time because his illness had gotten so bad, but he could still go for a ride in it. And the look on his face when he saw it running was just worth every bit of it. And it was just so great to see him see his baby driving again. And so he got to go for a couple rides in it before he passed away.
It's 1 year to the day that since he's passed away, and I find it fitting that his baby is in your shop awaiting its restoration.
After walking around the shop and seeing all the cars that Mark works on, I feel like he's here with us. I can feel my dad with us. I know that he's here.
Yeah, I think the car is going to look amazing when it's finished. Your dad would be proud of it.
Yeah.
We had their car raised up in the air so we could talk about some of the things that I had seen the other day when it showed up.
I know you guys don't want to, but have you thought about subframe connectors or some kind of connectors on this to tie this convertible together?
They don't do that. What Daren's talking about are aftermarket subframe connectors. When you're talking about a convertible Barracuda or any of the cars, there are already reinforcements. There's frame connectors, subframe connectors at the back and at the front on a convertible. Even with a 318, 6-cylinder, 383, Hemi or whatever, would have all had them to reinforce the car. So what Daren's saying is we need aftermarket subframe connectors in addition to the factory provisions. But what Daren doesn't realize is that wouldn't serve any purpose over the hidden angle iron that's actually inside the rockers. Most people don't know that. But if you were to cut the convertible rocker open, there's actually a piece of 1/4 inch angle iron inside the rocker that reinforces the car. It does the same thing as the subframe connectors, but I'm not going to take my time and try to explain that to Daren, let him torture them so they can at least see that Daren Kirkpatrick is what I portray him to be and what he portrays himself to be in the show, more importantly. See these pockets right here? This piece right here? They added this for being convertible. And so when people go out and they make convertibles out of cars that aren't real convertibles and they don't know that goes there, I just look underneath there and say that car, well, the VIN will tell you too, but if you had a CUDA that was just a regular hardtop CUDA, but with a 440 or bigger, it got them too. So the main thing was those cars will twist under extreme torque or it could take the roof away.
Yeah.
So I like to educate my clients as to what to expect. And in the case of their 70 Barracuda L code 383 two-barrel convertible, I told them it'll look exactly the way it did when it was on the assembly line in 1970. I'll do that. That's my job.
Hey, Royal, at least one good thing about it, your hair's not getting messed up.
I know I put on this bravado that I just can't wait to make somebody miserable, but the guys were wanting so bad to go for a ride in the convertible, and I thought about it, I figured, well, what's it gonna really hurt, right? A little bit of gas, go around the block a couple of times. So, out of the kindness of my stupid old heart, I decided, what the heck, let's give them a ride. Unfortunately, I didn't trust them to drive the car, so I put them on the back of the rollback in the convertible, but the effect was the same.
This is stupid. Thank you, Royal, for this.
Now, you're the one that wanted to drive the car.
I know these people right here. Hi, Randy.
Every little kid out there that ever took a piece of candy for thief, head or gut?
You jump off a cliff too if he told you to?
Wishing my dad was here to be able to see it.
The 1970 convertible Barracuda arrived as a runner-driver, and we got a chance to hear Kimberly's story of just why this car is literally irreplaceable. The guys got to take a spin in the convertible, and now that that's out of their system, we can get to the disassembly. My hair may be getting thin, but have you looked at yours?
Yeah.
I got a piece of
Mine?
advice for
In
you.
the
Don't
front?
ever shave your head. You're going to look like Jupiter from The Hills Have Eyes.
Well, that would be you.
You are. Good comeback, Royal. Quick. All right, let's get this thing apart. I think that there's an emotional connection in all the cars. The people wouldn't send them to me. They wouldn't invest the money in them if they didn't mean something to them somewhere. Maybe it means more because her father had bought it when it was nearly new and she had grown up in it, and there's all the wonderful pictures of her next to it and working on handing her daddy a wrench and stuff like that. I think that the care and the concern and the exercise of patience on her car is really the same as it would be on any other car. All of them require the same amount of quality attention to detail, both disassembling it as well as reassembling it. You see how it's hanging over the edge that way?
Right.
And it's centered. I've got them out back. That most of them are way over here, but this particular one is almost centered and over that way. I want to duplicate that when we go back together again.
Okay.
You know, 30 years ago, guys like Dave Weiss didn't have books out. Okay, you can go to mmcdetroit.com and you can buy books that tell you how the assembly line markings were and where the decals went. But again, these are reference photos from other cars. When I'm putting a car back together, I want to put it together the way it came apart, the way that when that hood got lifted up and Mr. Pitts would look inside there, the things that he saw should be the things that we see today, exact location of the ethylene glycol warning label, exactly the finish on this or where that was placed on there, the emission labels. Things like that, they're preserving the heritage of the car. And would they make any difference, and would anybody except the guy that took it apart? No, probably not. But I have my own checks and balance system, so I hold my own hand to the fire and say that if that's the way it came apart, it's important that that's the way it goes back together again. That's why the extra care and the extra concern and the extra documentation when I already have 20 cars that I've taken apart just like it. When these cars start getting blown apart, we basically have a formula in place where we'll leave the front K-member together. That'll have all the suspension on it, upper and lower control arms, upper and lower ball joints, inner and outer tie rod ends, the drag link, steering gear, sway bar, strut rods, all that stuff stays together. So that way we don't have to completely blow it apart and then figure out how it goes back together or detail the markings. When we're ready to do that suspension, rebuild it, we can leave it together right up to that point. Document with photos, write everything down that we need to write, blow it apart, detail the items, put it back, look at the photo, done. That's how we keep track of things up until the moment where the cars are ready to actually go back together again or ready to be detailed. Because if you did, there's probably 15,000 parts that make up one of these cars. And I think it would be a lot more taxing on us as restoration technicians to try to do that at 15,000 parts at one time than components. We kind of compartmentalize everything we do. Once we got the car to a point where really there was just some stuff left on it under the hood, some bracketry, some firewall stuff, seats, things like that, I turned it all over to Derek and Lucky, who are competent, good body men. They're hardworking guys. They know how important it is to preserve the pieces that are coming off. So that way they could get going on that and we could take the well-deserved lunch break because I was hungry, you know. I got an eating disorder, all right? That makes you happy. The case of the convertible top being out in the dirt is one of the biggest slap in the faces to a guy like me. I mean, I work so hard to preserve the things that come off of these cars for sometimes years at a time. I mean, it's a convertible top. Why is it doing that? See, in his mind, since we're going to recondition it, it doesn't matter. He never heard the term preserve the integrity, preserve the integrity. When you're in the collision business, you have a responsibility.
Is it back there?
Son of a...
Why did it take two of you to get it out of there when Josh put it back there by himself?
To find out that somebody can't follow the basic instructions of putting the parts in a pot. I don't care if you don't have time to put them on a shelf. Just get them in out of the weather. You know, I'm quick to jump the gun sometimes, and you know, Derek does a great job. I guess Derek was the one that put it out there. He probably had a reason. He might have been seasoning the metal, you know? You shouldn't jump to conclusions. That's the point. Judge a book by its cover. Royal and Daren did a great job taking the top apart. They're really, they handed me back my camera and there was like 150 photographs, which is awesome because those are the things that you're going to need when you go back together, especially being this is a mechanical top and not a power top. So there are things that are unique to it. And I don't have another manual convertible top in the whole place. So they really did. Once we got over the hurdle of finding the part and getting it over there, the disassembly went well and the inventory and the parts went well. So that's a nice thing to have off of our plate so we can start getting the parts cleaned and ready for reassembly. The disassembly of the car went fairly smoothly. Again, a lot of parts on, a lot more than usual. These cars usually come in as skeletons. So with this being a complete runner driver and working on a bit of a budget, we were going to reuse some of the critical things in there. For example, the engine had been rebuilt, so we didn't want to just take the engine out and set it out back. We wanted to preserve the integrity of the parts that were coming off. So a bit more caution and a bit more care was used in the disassembly, inventorying, and storage of the parts off this car. But at the end of the day, it came apart nicely and it's now ready to go up to the dipper. The Dodge and Plymouth B bodies were available from the manufacturer up until 1970 with a convertible top. True or false? You could order that convertible top with or without power assist. The answer coming up after the break. So could you order your favorite Plymouth or Dodge B body with a power or a manual convertible top? The answer is false. While the E-body in 1970 and 1971 was available with a manual convertible top and a power top, the B-bodies, probably due to the size of the top, were only available with the full power assist. Visit graveyardcars.com to learn more. The disassembly and documentation of the Cook 70 Barracuda convertible went beautifully. We did have a hiccup with the convertible top being dumped out back in the dirt, but we found it and we got it torn down and we got it documented. Next up, Derek's building out the rear leaf springs and suspension for the car.
Derek is a great asset here at GYC. When Mark's in the office faking ordering parts, and Josh's on his phone texting who knows what guy wherever he is in the world, I can always depend on Derek. He's out here, got his nose to the grindstone.
So right now I'm assembling the rear leaf springs for Cook 70 Barracuda. They're all powder coated, so all we have to do is put our little slips on here so everything will function properly, nice and quiet. This is our center spacer, which is basically galvanized tin, and they go in the center between each spring so that we have no metal-to-metal contact when everything is bolted together. Okay, this is our rear shackle. Goes through the rear of the spring. This is part right here that goes through the rear frame rail that attaches everything to the car. And that's designed to move so that it allows the rear suspension to travel. So this one's done. I'll go ahead and I'll do the next one, and then I'll roll it over to the housing and we'll get her bolted up and put her underneath the car. So I gotta set the third member on here, bolt it up, and then press a couple bearings on and put the axles in and then get the brakes done.
My favorite rear axle to work on is the 8 3/4 Mopar. It's so simple. You've got a third member carrier, you bolt it into the housing, it's got the sure grip and the gears, everything's in it. You slide the left axle in, you slide the right axle in, you bolt them down, and all of a sudden you've got a rear end assembly. It's a very nice system, it's bulletproof. You finish putting your leaf springs on it, detail it out, and you're ready to bolt it in the car.
And that's about it. Tighten everything up over there, and we are ready to do brakes.
The Cook's Barracuda is patiently waiting on the shop to be restored. The deadline, the delivery date is getting closer each and every day. Look at here, get that just right. You can see them, it won't come out either. You see that?
Yeah. We have several QC checkpoints throughout the build of a car. This isn't used car work. This is top-notch quality restoration work. So I want to make sure everything is aligned and ready to go together so we can start putting the trim, ornamentation, top, interior, motor, and transmission in that. The car is actually a very beautiful green. It's the F8 green. It's got a gorgeous look to it. Currently, we have all of the body and paint work done, all the fit and all the finish. Everything is ready for assembly. We've got the engine over at the machine shop getting the final machine work done, so I can assemble it here in the next couple of weeks. We're trying for late spring to be able to have this car back to the Cooks.
All in all, I'm pretty happy with how the cars are looking. Vast improvement in the last few years, and really they do look good. Nothing is perfect. A few little problems here or there, but nothing can't be fixed with a buffer or whatnot. This one looks pretty good.
I'm good on this one. I think it's ready to go together. Any nicks and bruises it gets from here, they're gonna have to spot it in anyway, so. Nice. Nice. It's the craziest thing on these HP exhaust manifolds. There's a vulnerable spot on the right-hand manifold that half of them we've looked at in the past are broken, the other half have been good, but right now we're just running through one after the other that all split out right there. Unfortunately for Chips, we're gonna go back to the parts car that he's volunteered, by the way.
Daren's original exhaust manifold.
Oh, you don't want to be the guy to put it on? I think there's a modicum of understandability when it comes to borrowing things. As long as you give them back in a reasonable amount of time or before the guy dies, I think that's the most important thing. Every little kid out there that ever took a piece of candy from the store when everybody's back was turned a thief, or is he a little kid? All right? I am not a crook. I am not a crook. Okay, when you go to put that on, you usually got to give it, like these get a little bit banged up.
Okay.
Because they're just tin.
Right.
So try to get that to, if you need to force it on there, you can do that. Just like that. These are the special long nuts, the sleeve nuts they call them. See there's threads in there because these manifolds have a hole in them. Here you see the manifold's exposed, you just put a nut on it. But back here, if you went to try to put a nut on it, how are you ever gonna get a socket on it? You're not. So you have to put this in there. Up until just a few years ago, it was really hard to find those, but now Chrysler, amongst a bunch of other people, are reproducing them. That's a factory Mopar deal there. Now the original ones, at least on the ones that come off most of these, did not have these threaded holes in them. Now just remember, you want to do this, you want to straighten these back out once you get the manifold on, or you'll have a hell of a time putting your plug wires on, right? We, miraculously, will be ready to roll it in the booth and paint it. Chrysler Corporate Blue. Let's roll it in there, monkey. Ooh, ooh. I've been painting cars for 25, 30 years. That means everything. That means not only blocking the cars and getting them ready and making sure that they're massaged to perfection, but actually laying that paint out, laying the base coat, laying the clear, laying the single stage out. I'm not the least bit concerned about messing up a paint job because painting is what I do. Yeah, I like to have fun. Everybody knows, anybody who's seen the show knows I like to have fun. I'm happy, I dance. When I'm painting, I like to fool around a little bit. It's just some kind of early martial arts stuff I taught myself in the paint booth. Normally speaking, I did it without the air hose hooked to it, you know, do a double flip, a 2.5 time over the back, kind of like a nunchuck type thing. If I'm doing a 50% overlap on a panel, I have no problem with my skill sets to do the 50% overlap, come off the end, do a 2.5 gainer, flip it, catch it by the lid, put it back in my hand, pull the trigger and come back with a perfect 50% pass. And when I walk away, it looks like God painted it. So, can't say the God thing because that's, I think that's a little blasphemous. So I would probably change it from God to more like Heavenly Choir of Angels, maybe painted it. This is a V-Code 1971 446 back 4-speed Dana Super Track pack car. You do something freaky.
The thing looks amazing.
It's beautiful. So today I'm over at the Bud Light Studios at K-Fly 101.5 in Eugene. They're the sister town to Springfield. So they just wanted a, you know, a celebrity on the show. Probably one of the biggest ones. I mean, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but probably one of the bigger ones that they've ever had.
What's up, guys? Welcome back into the Donkey Show. We are hanging out in the Bud Light Studios, and we've got Mark from Graveyard Carz.
I think that Josh was a little bit upset that I didn't invite him over, but sometimes I just get tired of hearing the, you know, the same blabber come out of his mouth that doesn't make any sense, so people are listening and they don't have a clue what he's talking about, and then I got to take my time, my precious time away and explain it, so.
You've got fans from, first of all over the world.
We have followers all over, and we're really big on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm noticing 1.2 million likes here.
Yeah, it's almost 1.3.
That's pretty. You ever deal with that since you're so popular? I mean, you guys have, you're on in all these different countries. You got to have people coming in trying to knock down your door.
Daren, I couldn't get hold of him. I wouldn't mind having him on. He's always fun to make fun of. Chrome Dome's at work, and Derek is actually working on the Cook's 1970 Plymouth Barracuda.
How about telling us about the lady with no teeth?
So the lady that came in, that, well, now in fairness, she had a chopper. It was sticking straight out through her upper lip, like a can opener. Had a baby's arm hanging out of her forehead. The back of her head was split completely open, like the back of JFK, you know? Well, that's still probably sensitive. But I mean, she was just a walking zombie, and she thought she was going to run the office. She wanted me to hire her
coming in to run it?
Yeah, she thought she might be a really good front person. The person that you're going to form your opinion of Graveyard Carz on is going to be sitting there with a steady diet of baby food and the arm at the head and the back of her head split open and stinking like cuckoo all over the place. You know cuckoo.
Yeah, definitely do.
Well, I'm not getting a lot of work done right now, thanks for asking, but I will, and I did yesterday while you were at home on Sunday, so.
Check out Graveyard Carz. Thanks so much, Mark. It's
Thanks
been a
for
pleasure.
having me, you guys. Appreciate it.
No problem. Take it easy.
Bye-bye. Just like that.
Great.
Nice.
Very
Thank
good,
you very
man.
much.
Very good.
The Cooks have been anxiously awaiting the restoration of their priceless 1970 Plymouth Barracuda convertible. Since its arrival 2 years ago, it's been torn down, dipped, inventoried, painted, and inspected. Despite some roadblocks, Josh managed to find some very hard to find parts, and I expertly applied the beautiful Chrysler Signature Corporate Blue paint. Now we got to get the accurate exhaust system installed, but most importantly, I need to find my coffee before the ice melts in it. You have one, start cutting the plastic off of them. We got the exhaust system installed in the Barracuda. Again, this is a dual exhaust system that would be standard on a 383 4-barrel or a Magnum engine, or the same as a 440. That system's the same, but we are putting it on a 383 2-barrel. Just remember that the exhaust manifolds on a 383 2-barrel are still the HP, even from the factory.
I do as I'm told, and obviously if Mark says that I don't, he made me go and take these off of Daren's car.
Well, what it is the manufacturer that Tom uses that makes these hangers, their plant burned down, so he doesn't have any of these. We didn't have any good used ones, and then I got to thinking, Daren's car had them on because Tom gave him the exhaust system for his car. So we just went over and got these off of his car, which I'm sure he'll be fine with it. Yeah, I borrowed the hangers off the car, okay? The way I look at it is like this, okay? Probably I paid for the damn things the first time around. He puts them on the car and lets them sit out there and rust because he won't touch his car. Our deal was, I will help you do your car, but you got to start it. You got to initiate it. That was our deal. That's what we had in blood oath. You bring the car in, you get it blown off, dried off, and I will help you at that point. He never takes the initiative to do that, so the car sits outside. All right, not my fault, his fault. Where's my coffee? You do something, freak? I have two questions for you.
Jugular.
Head or gut?
Okay, riddle me this.
Head or gut?
Probably.
It's your muffin. How do you like that?
That's my muffin. That's my muffin.
That wasn't my muffin.
She just.
Oh!
Michael didn't. She just killed my. That was my muffin.
Oh, no. Oh,
sorry.
You got it. Where you go, man?
See, that's what happens when you're dealing with the eyed clowns. All they know is to hide something. They don't know what comedy is. They don't know what common sense is. They don't know how to come up with quick, clever, witted lines like mine. And then they forced me to ruin some poor guy's muffin that wasn't even, sorry. If you remember when we first brought this car in, it's 383 2-barrel, it's an L code. It was a single exhaust car. So installing the head pipe, the mufflers, the resonators, the hangers, the brackets, all of that stuff is exactly the way it would be if it was a 383 HP. It just happens to be going on a 383 2-barrel. Not a lot of things got changed to be able to do this, but I think that cosmetically, aesthetically, and just for morale, I think it really went a long way. I think she's really, truly gonna love the look and the sound. Nice, I love that. Look at that. So sweet when it goes on. So right now we're getting ready to put the resonators on. What's cool with Tom down at Accurate Exhaust is he's a diehard Mopar guy. I mean, he makes Mopar systems for practically every muscle car that's ever been built. And he does his best to do it correctly to the factory. So like if the original mufflers or resonators had part numbers in them and the Pinistar, his does too. If they didn't, his don't. Being this car was a 383 2-barrel single exhaust, I had forgotten there's a couple of provisions that need to go into the body to be able to accept the dual exhaust. It did come with the kit, but I forgot I should have put them in before we raised the car up. This needs to go down through the floor of the trunk. If you look over here at this tawny gold car, a factory dual exhaust, because this is a V code 1971 446 pack 4-speed Dana Super Track pack car. This provision right here is the one that there's going to be a recess up there for it, but these holes won't be there because it never needed them with a 383 2-barrel. So he's just now hanging the bracket. We've already got the resonators in place. As soon as we're done with that, we can put the tailpipes on. The legendary 1969 to 1971 426 Hemi required an oval-shaped air cleaner. What was the reason for that? Low clearance under the hood. All 426 Hemis were cold air induction, or all 426 Hemis came with a mandatory dual 4 carburetor setup? The answer coming up after the break. So what was the reason behind the oval air cleaner on the 426 Hemi from 69 to 71? It was dual 4 carburetors. the exact same dual 4 inline setup that you would have saw on 66 to 68. Because of the dual 4 setting front to back, it required the oval air cleaner. The actual height of the engine wasn't an issue, although they were extremely difficult to get in the engine compartments because the 426 Hemi was over a half a foot wider than the 383 and the 440. And just addressing the cold air induction, the N96, not all 426 Hemis required a cold air induction hood. For example, you could have a 70 Dodge Challenger RT 426 Hemi and it would just have the sport hood on it. Visit graveyardcars.com to learn more. We are racing for the finish line with the Cook 70 Barracuda convertible. It's been a 2-year restoration, and after teardowns, repaints, rebuilds, reinstalls, this car is nearly resurrected. Next up, we got to wrap up some of the detail items, and Trifer has to install the glass. The little Barracuda's journey has been a long one for sure. It's been here just a little under 2 years, and it came in as an original Survivor type of car that needed a lot of work to a better than factory car where it's at now. It's really at the last stages of anything. It's getting the visor tips put on it, the hangers for the visors, the mirror pieces, some of just the little things that are left. Trifer's putting in the windshield to it, who's the only guys in town I trust to do our glass work. They always do a phenomenal job, and they took care of it. That's what good quality is. Once that windshield's in and the rest of the trinkets are on it, this car is really getting dangerously close to being done. We're just doing the final wrap up on Kimberly Cook's car, which is installing like the console, the shifter. We got the road lamps going on, bumpers, trim ornamentation, seats. As soon as that's done, we're gonna be out of the woods on it. We just got the car raised up in the air, and here comes the Grim Reaper, eyeballing with them crazy eyes.
Oh, this is, one of these is missing, my brackets, this is all apart right here. Everything's been taken apart. And they stole all my exhaust. Ridiculous.
The nice thing about Daren is he's easily distracted. So in this case, I sent him out back to grab some extra parts. That'll keep him out of my hair so we can finish the moldings, the seats, and the few things that are left like the windshield wipers. What we're doing right now with the lower reveal molding is these things get misshapen a little bit. And where they meet the glass, if they're not flush against this glass, then the windshield wiper hits it when it goes over it. It runs down, bottoms out, clicks over it. So we got to reshape it a little bit so it hugs that windshield really tight. Unfortunately, that means you got to take the wipers and all your good alignment stuff off.
You get that last knot, that screw loose?
I did. Okay. So what happens is when you put these screws in, this isn't flush up against the windshield. So we've got to stake this thing in a way that when we do tighten these screws down, that this thing snaps tight up against the windshield.
That did it.
He sent us pictures of his car with the exhaust hanging
That you
down on the
did.
ground. That I did, as I was instructed to do.
You jump off a cliff too if he told you to?
Well, that's stupid.
Classic graveyard cars. As soon as we get a rhythm going, as soon as we start making headway, I get Daren sidetracked, thinking of something else. Josh comes along and brings it up again. He rekindles the fire.
You're creating a felony.
I'm creating a felony.
Yeah.
Is that why you sent
It's
me
only
a
a
picture of
felony
the
if
police
it's over a
department?
certain dollar
You're just as stupid for having your car there, knowing that something's going to get taken off anyways.
You're gonna think when the police interview you, let's see what you tell them when they interview you, Josh.
You know, I am so tired of hearing about Daren's rolled over, kicked in pile of monkey dung. You know, but the car's absolutely worth more dead than it is alive. The parts that it's donating, it's like somebody that dies. It's unfortunate that they died, but you just helped somebody like me live. Should be grateful. Should be sending me a thank you card. When I'm done with it, it's gonna need a salvage title.
Maybe I'm done with you, you'll need a salvage title.
You are a salvage title. Oh, you best get on the other side of the net. You've been served. Match game point.
Go ahead and glue the wipers together, okay?
How do you like that laugh? A little crazy, isn't it? I didn't know any better, I'd say that was looking like a car. Yeah, here's your moment. This is all you've been asking for.
And what were you doing?
This is your whole deal you've been waiting for.
You've
This is what you've been waiting for.
I'm hungry.
We got the seats bolted in, tightened down. The final right adjustment height with the torsion bars is set, and we are now ready for the grand reveal of the most beautiful 1970 Plymouth Barracuda 383 two-barrel manual convertible top EF8 green that the world has ever known, seen, or will see again. You're welcome.
We're ready to see the car.
The thing looks amazing.
Major butterflies right now.
Yeah. Wishing my dad was here to be able to see it.
Hit it.
Oh my God.
Much like a wedding, the Cook's convertible Barracuda has something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. I promised Kimberly and Tom to restore their priceless heirloom to factory condition. And after 2 years of anxiously waiting, it's time for the reveal. Well, this is it. This is our D-Day for Graveyard Cars. Kimberly and Tommy are waiting outside. We just finished doing the final wax and polish on the Barracuda.
It's been 2 years. 2 years almost to the day that we dropped the car off with Mark, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
I grew up in this car and never actually thought I'd see the day where it was restored, and here it is, so can't wait.
Her dad bought that car when she was just a little girl, and she has great memories of it. The top was never nice on the car. I guess it was kind of ratted out by the time they got it in the mid-70s, so this is probably the first time she'll get to see it with the nice new correct top on it and installed, but not to mention everything in the car is restored.
I'm very happy for her.
Yeah, can't wait.
I'm really excited to see her and Tommy finally get their dream back to them.
We both have major butterflies right now.
Yeah.
We're ready to see the car.
Well, you don't look nervous at all. Are you ready now? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Hit it.
Oh my God.
I'm speechless. Go ahead.
Oh my God. This is beautiful.
It's pretty young.
Oh my God.
I'm so
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
I'm glad we could do it. I'm speechless.
It's gorgeous.
It was very touching whenever they first came out and Kimberly just lost it. She started crying. This was the moment that they've been waiting for, you know, and then to see her reaction, it was priceless.
I don't know why we strayed from having it all original like we started with, you know, with the hood and the exhaust, but I'm okay with that now.
Yeah, seeing Tom and Kimberly when they saw the car for the first time, it makes all the overtime, the want to kill Daren or beat on Mark, it all goes away.
You know, the last time they saw it was pretty tattered.
It's literally as close to brand new assembly line as it could be. The only thing I didn't do was I didn't replace the steering wheel, because this is the one that your dad had his hands on, and you probably as a little girl in there playing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to present you with the original wheel, and I've got 3 little nuts here to put it on with and a ratchet. And we got you the famous dice to hang from the mirror.
Tennessee dice.
So if you want, we can put those on, and you can finish checking the whole thing out, and I'll bet after that you could even get tucked into a ride.
These go on first.
Yep, those go on
Tennessee
first.
dice.
Nice.
All right. Okay.
This, even Daren can't screw up. So there's a slot right here. You know, it's funny because you work a long time for these days for the delivery day. I mean, I know in some cases it happens a lot faster in other worlds, but in our world, it takes time to do one of these cars right. So you've got a long time to think about making sure that the car's right so that when that person finally gets here to check the car out, that they have the reaction that we got today. We're gonna have Ro put the rest of the wheel on and connect the horn. You guys wanna look under the hood?
Yeah.
All right. And there's everything exactly the way it was on the assembly line.
Oh my gosh.
Ceramic Michigan.
Oh, looks so good.
It's a big job.
Amazing.
It's a big job.
Yeah.
If you just notice a few things, this is your original radiator, the 958 radiator, but the core was bad. So
Right.
got a new core in it. This has the correct thermoscussion clutch fan on it. You've got your date-coded voltage regulator, date-coded PCV. Well, your PCV's over there. This is your power brake hose, date-coded heater hoses. Classic Auto Wear completely restored the system. That's why this all looks brand new. And Instrument Specialties is responsible for making the dash look brand new again for the first time in many, many years. PPG, what can you say? There's not a paint on the planet that looks better than that.
Wow.
I mean,
Beautiful.
you get the new chrome against it and get the new top against it and you get it all put back together and all the thing lines up like it's supposed to. Wow.
I can't believe how good she looks. It looks awesome.
I was speechless.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just looking at it, it's a work of art.
Yeah.
I couldn't in my wildest dreams even think that this car would turn out like this.
Last time we saw the car, the paint on it was rusted and faded, and the hood was white from where it had been primered. The top on it was shredded, basically.
Yeah.
So now it's a completely redone car. It looks brand new. Reminded me when I was a kid. Wishing my dad was here to be able to see it also. It was his car, and he left it to me, and I had a lot of great memories as a kid in it, and just, you know, wished he could be here to see it also. Turned out great.
Your dad be very happy.
He's got a smile on his face. I can't wait to drive it. Can't wait to get in it, top down, beautiful day out. Wow. Yep. First crank.
Give it some.
Oh, wow.
Can't wait.
You're driving it first, right?
Of course.
Okay.
From the very first time that I talked with the Cooks on the phone to when we met them and to the meetings in between and the other calls that we've had, I've always known that restoring the car was the right thing to do. And never was there a time that it was more obvious to me than seeing the car done, seeing the reaction, seeing that Graveyard Carz has done something that I think is only a few people in the world are doing. We're not just restoring cars, but we're restoring and reliving dreams and memories. And so when you put all those together, I am honored to be a part of that journey as well as I am all of the journeys that we've been on at Graveyard Carz.
It drove great. It drove like a brand new car. The last time I drove it, it sounded like it was about to fall up to pieces because everything was loose on it.
It's kind of like we're at a dealership test driving a new car.
Way better than I ever could imagine it would.
The car turned out beautiful. It looked really good in the shop, but nothing like it looked when we took it outside in the sun. And I'm not just saying that because it's my favorite color. The sun, just really the natural lights just bring out all the colors of the paint.
The finished product of the car right now, oh my God, it's like a 180. The thing looks amazing. It's pretty much a one-of-one car. That it's a big block and it only has a 2-barrel carburetor. And on top of that, it's an air conditioning car, being a convertible. You didn't see a lot of that.
My favorite part about the car is probably her story about her and her dad and everyone.
It's part of the family. It's been part of the family since 1977. So I think it'll continue to be a big part of the family now.
Mark brought the car back to life, and I'm sure my dad has a huge smile on his face and loves seeing it the way it is.
Moments like that and the ability to be able to return a car like that back and fulfill a dream is what makes what we do worth what we do. That's an extension of her father for her. And so much more important in those situations for us to do it perfect and do it as good as we can. No matter what happens, where our roads all take us, we'll always have this one thing that bonds us together as friends, and she'll know that we did the right thing by her, and we were honored to be a part of the story.